The year of Rinascita brought us many amazing stories. Whether it be Chacona's journey into joining a cause greater than herself, Carlotta and Cantarella burying a generation-long hatchet, Yuno being wiped from existence and starting anew, or Zani being literal Batman. But amongst all these legendary tales, I think one is underappreciated despite being integral to the greater plot of Wuthering Waves. The story of the fallen gladiator, Mia. Okay, I will be the first to admit that Rinascita's story can also be a bit of a mess, as I made a whole video about trying to recap it. And chapter 5 and 6 of this tale are probably the worst at it, as they introduce Septimont as a new region, have us meet my beloved Lupa and compete in the Great Aegon with her, introduce Buling, have Cardathia explore a different version of Septimont with an amnesiac Lupa, reveal a large part of Cristofora's plan and his powers, and introduce Mia's story and her link with Lupa. It's like 5 different storylines crammed into 2 chapters with time loops and multiple dimensions added as seasoning. So a lot of it gets lost in the chaos. And I feel like especially Mia's story is overshadowed despite being very tragic and pretty well written. So I'm gonna try my best to tell the story of this tragic gladiator from start to finish the best I can. Amongst the many gladiators who partake in the Great Aegon of Septimont, Mia, who fought in it 20 whole years ago. Fun fact, Chisa disappeared and got trapped in Honami City 20 years ago too. Mia stood out amongst her peers for one simple reason. She was Regunesi and traveled to Septimont specifically to fight in this martial competition, as fighting was the only thing that made her happy. Because of her upbringing in Reguna, she was also a devout follower of the Order of the Deep, which made her a prime target for the Threnodian Leviathan, who wanted to find the central hub of Septimont and corrupt its beacon system. It is implied that, just like Cardathia, Mia was created by Leviathan to serve that specific purpose. Thus, the evil fish god thing began slowly corrupting her, starting with simple things like soft whispers in the back of her mind, and slowly but surely breaking down her spirit. It didn't help that her life in Septimont was filled with hardships. Mia was never born to be a champion. She had weak resonance abilities, wasn't as physically strong as others, and so she had to train extra hard to even get on the same level as her peers. However, eventually she would compete, win matches, and even gain fans who supported this underdog every step of the way. It made her truly happy. But we all know that happiness doesn't last in this world, especially when a Threnodian is involved. Eventually, the influence shatters Mia, causing her to completely unravel. Hallucinations, hysteria, crying in the gladiator's lounge. Everything falls apart and causes her placement in the ranking to plummet. However, her exploitative current manager still wants her to fight. She's a fan favorite and he can't imagine losing his so-called golden goose. Mia herself also wants to continue fighting, needing both the cheers from the audience and the money she wins. But she also knows she cannot go on much longer. Mia, against all odds and probably surprising even herself, wins the year's Great Aegon, probably with the help of Leviathan's corruption, and is dubbed the Bloody Aegon for how ruthless and powerful she was in the arena. However, Mia started to figure out what was up. I guess the weird black outgrowths were a hint, and she disappeared from Septimont City before she could be officially crowned. The now champion traveled to the Vale of Glory, resisting the attacks on her mind by the Threnodian, and knew that her time was short. She didn't want to give the Threnodian what it wanted, and stabbed herself with her sword before throwing herself into the ocean. Thus, Mia, Raganacy, gladiator, champion, was dead and lost to the sea. For about 20 years, the story of Mia, the Bloody Aegon, became a tale of legend amongst gladiators of Septimont and nothing else. Her actual corpse was recovered by the head of House Silva and handed over to none other than the Fraxidus, who experimented on it because of its link to the Threnodian. However, when the rover met and fought Cardathea, freeing her from the Threnodian's influence inside of Enolium, it needed a new host and found its way back to Mia's body, and also seemed to awaken Mia's own reverberation, turning them into the Lady of the Sea. Cristoforo, overseer of the Fraxidus and Rinascita, began colluding with Leviathan to essentially redo Mia's story in the present, but with a new gladiator in the role of the Bloody Aegon, Lupa. It's here where things get a bit confusing, as Cristoforo traps Lupa in a time loop. On one hand, she is partaking in the current Great Aegon competition with Rover, whilst slowly being corrupted by the Lady of the Sea to win the gladiatorial battles just like Mia did, while on the other hand she is trapped in a sonorosphere, which takes the form of a dead and corrupted Septimont, where she, struggling from amnesia, joins Cardathea in freeing themselves from this sonorosphere and confronts the playwright who caused us all. As the Rover and Lupa win the Great Aegon, Cardathea also confronts Cristoforo and the story of Flames of Heart occurs, with Lupa figuring out about the time loop and using both Cardathea and the Rover's help to break free from it inside the sonorosphere that once trapped her, while Rover holds the line against the Lady of the Sea. During her investigation, Lupa comes across a conversation between the reverberation of Mia and the Lady of the Sea, where they argue back and forth, with the Threnodian eventually silencing Mia and banishing her back deep down their shared mind. Eventually, Lupa reaches the central hub of Septimont, with the Lady of the Sea also present and ready to corrupt her. But thanks to her friends' support, Lupa isn't so easily swayed and confronts this avatar of Leviathan, with Mia getting one final taste of the gladiator's life.
And victory is never the final word. Proud! Pitiful! Cry! Love! Race to the finish! To face death with the crown of glory! By my will! Let this light burn in all its fury! There is something no one can take from me. To me, there is no greater joy in this world.
As Lupa's spear pierces the Lady of the Sea's heart, Mia is finally freed from this torment. Lupa, Cardathea and the Rover all make it out safely from both the sonorosphere and the central hub, as Mia's sword joins the countless others in the Veil of Glory, ending her tale the way it was supposed to be, as a hero of Septimont. Okay, but now that we know the tragic tale of Mia, it begs the question, why does it even matter?
When I first saw the footage of contender Mia, I was merely impressed by her raw, unfiltered determination. At the time, my team had some problems, and my teammates accused me of not understanding what it felt like to be left behind. Normally, I'd brush it off, but the sounds of sorrow grew louder and started to weigh on me. Strength, weakness, winning, losing. I began to question if I had only made it through by luck. But Mia has shown me the answer with her whole life. Victory is about giving everything you've got.
Okay, firstly, the little bit we just heard. Mia's story is of great importance to Lupa going forward, giving the wolf the motivation to keep on going, as victory is about giving everything you got. Her story also left an impression on the Rover, as she's been brought up multiple times in Lahai Roy's story, as an example of someone who was exploited and used by the Thrunodians. Let's zoom in on that, as I think that's the real importance of Mia's tale. Overall, the Thrunodians are still pretty mysterious beings, because they're all also so different. I mean, just look at Aleph 1. But they all have one thing in common. They need to corrupt mortals to do their work for them. They generally don't seem to be able to just summon an apocalypse out of nothing. They need humans to do the dirty work first. This is especially important considering they have no resonators like the Sentinels do. That's also where the Fraxidus comes in. They want to create Thrunodian resonators that they can control in order to essentially control the Thrunodians by proxy. So they hold great interest in any past and present mortal the Thrunodian have been influencing or creating to see how deep the corruption can go and how realistic an actual Thrunodian resonator is. Mia, for lack of a better term, proved their story right. Mortals can be corrupted to the point of essentially opening up to become vessels or resonators for the Thrunodians, as we see with Cardathia's evil version in the inverted tower and the way Mia's corpse was resurrected afterwards. That's also probably why they seem to double down when it comes to Denia in Lahai Roi. Thanks to their experiences in Rinascita with Cardathia and Mia, the Fraxidus know it is possible, which is why Leviathan's essence was even found within Denia. But unlike Cardi, Mia didn't make it, and I think that's the hardest part of it all. Unlike literally everyone else Rover managed to save in the past and present, like Cardathia and Imeth, they were too late for Mia. She struggled against the Thrunodian and their influence all on her own, and even committed the ultimate sacrifice, basically twice, to stop them from winning. Mia shows the Rover, the Fraxidus, and everyone else who knows her story that you can and must do anything to achieve victory. Mia now serves as the nameless martyr of Septimont, forgotten and pushed away as just a mentally unstable gladiator by the masses. But those who know her story know that Mia saved her home and Solaris 3 as a whole by being selfless and never giving up. She is a testament to the will of humanity against the Thrunodians, even when created and corrupted by said evil. But what do you think about Mia's story? For me, she is still one of my favorite non-playable characters in Wuthering Waves, so I hope I did her story justice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thanks to my 6-star poll member Cassia Arcelio. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or even becoming a member as well, as I post regular deep dives and reviews into the games that I love.